Hi guys, welcome to another session on Protector. My name is Karanveer Singh. So let's have a quick recap of what we did in the last video, guys. In the last video, we created the structure of Protector Cucumber framework. We'd also added a package.json file. Let's have a look at what we are going to do in this video, guys. So in this video, we are going to understand config.ts and we are going to create and understand tsconfig.json file. So let's now move on to Visual Studio Code, and this is where we left. So in the last video, we had created tsconfig.ts file. Now let's understand all the different properties that we had mentioned in the last video. So we had added capabilities, guys. So capability is the property where I can define on which browser I want the execution of my scripts to go, right? Like in this case, I want my scripts to be executed on Chrome browser. So I've written here Chrome. If I want to use Firefox, Mozilla Firefox, I can mention here Mozilla Firefox as well. So this property capabilities helps me define the browser where I want to execute my scripts. The next property is suits. So guys, as we are using Cucumber framework, right? We are using Protector Cucumber framework. So in Cucumber, we have a test runner file. Test runner file is a file which acts as a glue code between your feature file and your step file. So guys, in the suits property, we write the feature file. That is, we mention the location where our feature files are present so that whenever the execution begins, it starts reading your feature files from this property. Then the next property is Cucumber options. Now this acts as a glue code between your feature file and your step definition file. In Cucumber ops, which is the option, we mention the location of the step definition files that we have, which means in respect to the feature file written here, in respect to the path of feature file written here, the system will come here and start reading the step definition file and will file a corresponding step file for your login feature file, right? So this config.ts file also acts like a glue code for your Cucumber framework. So these were the properties. These were some of the properties that we used in the that we used or we created in the last video. There are a few more, and let's have a look at how we can use them. So guys, there's another property which is named as params, right? I can use this param keyword and I can mention all the parameters that I'm about to use throughout this project. Now for an instance, I can create a param which says URL, and let me just mention here the URL of Amazon, as we are going to work on Amazon. Right, so this is a URL. So I've created a parameter with the keyword URL, so I can use this params property to mention all the keywords, or let's say all the parameters that I want to use throughout the application. Like param, guys, now if you remember in the second video where we wrote the first script of Jasmine, we were writing a statement of browser.getURL for each and every scenario. So we need not do that, right? We have a property which is named as onPrepare. I can write it as onPrepare. Okay, so I need to keep the P as a capital, and I can mark it as an async function. So this is the fat arrow that I'm going to use to mark it as a function. onPrepare, okay. Okay, so we had not added a comma here. That is why we were getting this error. So now this is the onPrepare, guys. So this is the precondition that will run before each test is being executed. So now how I can use this? I can use this as I can say browser dot manage dot window, and let's say I can maximize my window here, right? So this is the first thing that I want before my tests are being executed. Then what is the next thing? I can say browser.manage, right, dot delete all cookies. So I want to delete all the cookies as soon as the browser is maximized. and then I'll say browser dot get, right? So guys, we created a param which was the URL, and I'm about to use this param now. So after all the cookies have been deleted, I want to open the URL, right? So I'll just do this. So you can see it got. So now at this point of time, I'm using this parameter, which is URL, right? So this is how we use on prepare, guys. So anything that I want to do before the execution of my test. So let's do one thing. Let's also comment here for our understanding, right? So I'll say on prepare is the precondition that will get executed before each test, right? And similarly, I can comment here. What is params? Params are the parameters which can be used throughout the project. So like we did this on prepare, there is one more keyword or one more property which is Oncomplete. Now things which I want to do after the job has been done, after all my test cases have been created, I can also have an Oncomplete function. Let me just do it the same way. I'll add an async function. I'll create this as an asynchronous. I'll add the fat arrow, and I've opened the braces. Now guys, if as we are not creating reports as of now, but we will in the further videos, so I would want my report to get generated once my the test execution has been done. So basically Oncomplete is something that will be executed at the end, right? So we can just mention it here. Oncomplete is a condition, is a post condition. That will get executed after all the tests, right? So guys, this is how we can add few more properties to our config file and keep them common, or the things which are common or are required before every test in on prepare, and things which are common and are required to be done after all the test execution, we can add them to Oncomplete, right? So guys, this is how we can create our config file. So now let's do one thing, guys. Let's hit tsc, right? If you remember in the package.json file, in last time we had also installed Typescript. So let's hit tsc. So tsc is a command which is used to compile Typescript. So it is the Typescript compiler. So let me just hit tsc, and I'll explain you why we are hitting tsc. So as soon as we did, you'll see that we got something here. And what is that? So guys, before, or if we want to execute TypeScript code, we need a TypeScript config file as well. And let's first create TypeScript config file, and then we'll understand why do we need a TypeScript config file, right? So let's just write tsc -init, hit enter. Right, so it says successfully created tsconfig JSON file. So let's open this file and let's understand why do we need tsconfig file. So guys, tsconfig file is basically the configurations that I want for my TS. For the TS that I'm about to write, or the TypeScript that that I will be using in the project, the configurations which are required for that TypeScript. Like we have strict2 in, if let's just skim through this file real quick, and let's understand what all things are present here, right? So if you see this, it says the target, which is ES5 as of now. So it is the version that it is using currently, and that is ES5. Let's just change it to ES 2019 because that is the most recent one as of now. right? Then, so these are the little more details that I can look for. Like if I want to mention some output directory, I can just use this thing. I can just uncomment this configuration and I can enable this. Similarly, we have strict to. So this is the type checking option, right? If you see the heading, it says the type check, strict type checking option. By strict type checking option, I can enable few of the options which will be taken care whenever I am writing the code. Let's say I do not want to use any implicit any, right? So what if I do this? If I uncomment this and I set it as true, it says raise an error on the expression and declaration with an implied any type. So if there is any type of expression or declaration in the code, it will just raise a error there. Similarly, strict null checks true. It will check if there are any null values present throughout the code. So these are the different options or that are available for the TS, right? You can just go through it. You can configure it as per your needs, whatever you feel like adding, whatever is suitable for your project. You can just enable these options, but the overall understanding of tsconfig file is to configure how you want your TypeScript to be used throughout this project. So guys, this is all for this video. Hope you liked the video. Thank you guys.